We had two debuts tonight on AEW Dynamite. What a great show was. Hello everyone, how y'all doing? My name is Angel. I'm the average wrestle fan. Here with a review of the March 18th video, or I guess it's my March 18th video of AEW Dynamite. Fantastic show from top to bottom. Very surprised with two debuts happening today. I wouldn't say it's a surprise of who it was. Just more that it happened all on one show. So we've got a full review for you here today. Be sure, leave a like, comment below. Let me know what all you think about the episode today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it, whether you're watching this tomorrow or tonight that it actually happened. So we'll just go ahead. We'll get right into the full review for you. There was a few matches announced. We had Inner Circle versus The Elite, the Best Friends versus Triángulo de Muerte, Death Triangle. But we weren't positive on that match. Pac apparently, because of the viral thing going on right now, I think I can say it that way. Pac wasn't at the show. So we had Best Friends versus just the Lucha Brothers. Then we had Jurassic Express versus the Butcher and the Blade. Exalted One was supposed to show up. We'll get to that here in a minute. So that was basically the card that we had announced for the show tonight. Started off really great. I'll tell you what, let's start with really the big impact. There's one of two options I have here, so I'll go with the one that was advertised. Probably the one that everyone was expecting to go crazy over the top. We were all expecting one person. It turned out to be someone else. We got the reveal of the Exalted One taking place probably right around the 8 p.m. Central mark, halfway through the show. The Exalted One came through. It was a very good segment. Kind of started with just, basically after a match, we had the Dark Order come into the ring. And you had Evil Uno and Stu Grayson by themselves coming out. Now, for those of you that don't know, Stu Grayson fought against Christopher Daniels on AEW Dark and had a good match. And he said there's one down, one more to go, to basically say that there's no leader, there's no true Exalted One. So we're coming down talking, saying we're talking to our people. This is Evil Uno at this point. And obviously, like I said, Christopher Daniels starts to interrupt. At this point, basically just saying there isn't one, blah, blah, blah. We know what it's leading to only because it had been advertised. I think if it wasn't advertised, this would be a big pop for us watching. Obviously, there's no fans there. But yeah, so a video starts on the screen. Fantastic video. The AEW Dynamite YouTube page has got the full video up there for you. Definitely go take a look at it if you haven't seen it. But it's a very distorted voice. He's in a unique outfit. It does almost look like Matt Hardy's outfit. So I was, played essentially, because guess who should take it off after a couple of minutes of the voice kind of fading down? We have the reveal of Brodie Lee officially in the AEW. Kind of interesting. It had always been talked about that this was his debut show because it was going to take place in his hometown, but we really didn't think it would be part of the Exalted One. So, he was an early bet, but we didn't actually believe it. And that's who it was. So Brodie Lee is officially the Exalted One. He comes out, he attacks basically Christopher Daniels. A beautiful move. He puts him kind of into a reverse, almost like a Sister Abigail type thing. Flips him up and goes into for a big clothesline. It was a beautiful looking move. I'm sure he's done it somewhere else I don't know about. Again, I'm just an average fan. So it was a nice little moment for him to debut, and I think it was served well. It looked fantastic, and I think we got what was advertised. So that's the first part of the big event that happened. So we'll get into the rest of the show right now. Thank you very much, like I said, for tuning in, watching this show. Hopefully you're enjoying it so far, what I'm talking about, the way I'm describing everything. Feel free, like I said, leave a comment below. Let me know what I can do better. This is one of my very first videos. just going line by line, so to speak, what happened on the show. I have been doing this as well. There's a podcast that I'm a part of. It's called, well, we're renaming it, but it's a wrestling podcast. As of right now, you can see it on Facebook. It's Hookah and Wrestling Podcast. I personally don't do any hookah, but it's a fun way to talk with some guys about what's going on. So we'll get to the opening of the show. It opened a very cold open, just as we normally know, with all the events happening right now in the world. To have Cody stand in the ring, being a part of someone who's very connected to the fans. For him to admit he's never felt something so small because he feels so insignificant. He never realized how important it was, what he's doing for the people. And, you know, it's kind of interesting the way he basically is building this up. He's just asking for the rest of the elite to start putting aside their differences. Let's start really working together. Let's put on a great show tonight. Let's stand together for the world, basically. There's this beautiful shot. He says we have to stand at a distance. The camera basically works away. You look out into the distance. There's nobody in the crowd. It's a really good shot, just to show what he's talking about, the gravitas of it, how much it actually means. So it's a very beautiful opening. Basically calls out Matt, calls out Kenny, says let's work together. Matt starts saying, yeah, look at us. Hangman's not even here. My brother's back home. He's basically out indefinitely. Of course, we know one of the reasons why, but because what the Inner Circle did to him. So Kenny Omega comes out. Hangman Page comes out after this, and he is, he's got a glass as he normally does. And Matt basically is asking him, please work with us. Will you work with us tonight and the next week? Because we really need to work together. Hangman basically just holds up his glass and nods his head as a big yes. I wonder where they're going with this story, but for the way this was presented, it almost feels this thing that's going on in the world is what's gonna make Hangman and Matt and all the rest of the elite come together. And Cody's promo basically really put that over. So I liked it a lot. It's a great promo. Kenny basically then just says, all right, that's enough. Let's get the pyro going. Let's get everything started. Let's make Dynamite. Let's get Dynamite going. So we're off to the races at this point, Let's see what a Dynamite looks like with no fans. Opens up. I was surprised to see Taz is at ringside instead of Tony. Then we immediately kind of see why. Tony's actually at ringside, and you get this shot. You got the heels on this side. I guess you can see that. I can't tell. But the heels are on this side of the ring. The faces are on this side of the ring. You have like Joey Janela, Sonny Kiss, some of SCU, a couple other people there. Basically people who aren't on the show tonight, but are people you recognize. And on this other side, you have MJF, Sean Spears, Lance Archer is on this side. A couple other people. Very cool. It's something you pictured, but you don't know how it plays out, and it worked perfectly. MJF gets asked why he's at ringside and all that stuff, and it's funny. He does this little bit where you said him and Sean are there to make the real money. They're apparently going to be gambling over the matches, and they played up to that throughout the night. It was really funny. Cool little moment, I think. What better way for MJF to be a part of the show than to be the one that's talking the loudest in an empty arena? Played it perfectly. I loved the way the presentation was. We had our first match. I'll move on to it. Best Friends with Orange Cassidy and against the Lucha Brothers. So Pac, like I said, is not here. And basically we're opening up with the match between these guys. So Trent and Rey Fenix are the ones to start. Rey Fenix in this match, oh my God. This match in a quiet arena, you just realize how great the Lucha Brothers are. You had some heckling from the side. There was a couple spots where Trent and Chucky T are taking advantage. They're beating down Rey Fenix, I think. And and they go for this little spot where they're doing their little muscles, and MJF yells out from the crowd, "Yeah, you look very fit for a sack of potatoes." This guy, like I said, throughout this match, he's just providing commentary on top of the commentary, and it goes down great. He sounds like a fan who would really be talking, trash in the crowd. But yeah, go to a commercial break. I don't want to get too far into it, but there's a couple of big spots. Trent counters a couple moves, does a tornado DDT, gets some space around. Taylor does another clothesline, tilt-a-whirl backbreakers on Pentagon, or tries to, and then Pentagon actually did a straight chop. So a couple moves there where the two are kind of going back and forward. Eventually, he hits a knee on Pentagon, throws Phoenix up for Trent. Trent does this beautiful cutter on top of it, and the best friends then go to do a hug spot, the big hug spot. Got to give the people what they want, as Excalibur usually claims. And then you hear everybody in the background start saying, "Yeah, but there's nobody here," which is the downfall at this point, because they go for an elbows, social distancing. Let's do our elbows, and basically they mess up because Pentagon and Phoenix start attacking them from behind. Taylor goes up to the ramp. Orange Cassidy tries to stop everything. They get shoved off the stage. Cassidy hits everyone with a dive. But Taylor then gets Chucky T and Phoenix get back in the ring. And basically, after a few minutes, Pentagon, after distraction, hits Trent with a low blow. Package pile driver for the 1, 2, 3. Good match. Great story. Loved all the side comments that were going on. And it's all to set up the next week's match, really. Also, so there's a storyline here that's brewing, and he says, what we really need to do is, this is after the match, Trent, Chuck, and Cassie are at the top of the ramp. Tony asks what they think about Death Triangle after this. They say they're going to take on Death Triangle in a parking lot, a street fight match on the next week's Dynamite. So we've got that to look forward to. I think it'll be a good match. All great wrestlers that are going to be in it. So we'll see what happens. It should be a great, like I said, it should be a great match to look forward to. So we're still setting up for the following week. It looks like setting up the card. Obviously, we've got fantastic event next week anyway with the Blood and Guts match. So this is going to be a nice little addition to it. I would say this is just quite as good as as a pay-per-view, essentially, with a couple of those matches. They're definitely pay-per-view type matches. So we'll see what happens. It's a good, like I said, a good match. Good promo after the fight as well. Then we go to commercial, and we've got a women's 4-way match. Something I didn't mention, the announcer for the night is Brandy Rhodes. Yes, Brandy. Above her graphic, it says she had formally announced she would never ring announce again, which was really funny because she was making faces throughout that kind of alluded to that also. But like I said, we have a 4-way match. We have Penelope Ford coming out with Kip Sabian, Riho, Chris Statlander, and Hikaru Shida. 4 fantastic workers. For those of you that haven't watched AEW Dark, Penelope Ford and Riho fought last week, and that played into this match. Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida, as we know, are 2 of the top, I'd call them the top 5 in AEW women's wrestling right now. And this is kind of something that I think works well without a crowd, because normally on Dynamites, let's call a spade, the women's matches have not been going over quite so well. Is what it is. So to have this match get started, not notice a big drop off from the match before, the people that are there, the Orange Cassidys, the best friends, and then see a kind of crowd reaction drop down a little bit for a women's match. It helped this match, I think. I was really into this match. Only because, again, I knew part of the storyline with Penelope Ford and Riho. And obviously Chris and Hikaru are fantastic workers. it immediately starts with Penelope Ford attacking Riho, going after her. Then you see Statlander and Shida, who had been tagging for a while now, working together against her. And they go, there's quite a few moves. It gets to the spot, of course, where Riho somehow gets into this middle of the corner. And there's this move that Statlander and Shida have been doing where Shida basically does a suplex with Chris Statlander onto the opponent that they have. And Statlander asks for this move. Shida does it. And because it is a suplex, there is damage done. There is, a pinfall opportunity. She tries to pin Statlander. She gets 2 count only. But Statlander realizes, okay, we're not really in this together, which Shida, being a veteran, wants to get a win. She's doing what she has to, right? So it's a good match, though. There's a lot of time. There's a lot of built-up opportunities for all the women to show off, basically. Ford and Riho hit Shida off of the ring. They start fighting each other. There's a running splash. There's a couple of little good moves there. Afterwards, we get basically Riho trying to go for a roll-up on This is the finish. Riho goes up for a roll-up on Statlander, but Statlander basically lifts her up, puts her in an electric chair, drops her onto Shida. Ford hits Statlander with a reverse Hurricane Rana from outside. Beautiful move. Basically takes out Chris Statlander. Then Penelope Ford hits a back handspring on Shida, but Shida drop kicks her while she's in midair. Then she does a Falcon Arrow for a near fall. Then Shida hits her with running knees to actually get the 1-2-3. So Shida pins Penelope Ford, which is great because she's one of the women I think that has put up great matches. She actually feels like a threat to Nyla Rose. Her power, her strength, she's got it all, and she's building up quite a repertoire, or in terms of all the moves that she has that look like finishers could be finishers. So it's a good match. Penelope Ford, I will say there was one spot here where if it happened during a commercial, we wouldn't probably care, but it happened right in the middle of the show. She goes up for a Hurricane Rana off of the top corner. She misses it, and Statlander still tries to sell it. I almost wouldn't have. I almost would say, do something else that lets you know that she messed up. And the announce team called it out, which is something I like about Dynamite's team. They're not BSing you. They know when stuff is wrong. They cover up some things by saying, oh, well, this went wrong. This is why it went wrong. This is how it actually hurt them. So they do that kind of stuff all the time. But that one spot did kind of take me out for a second, but then we got back into the match. The flow started going again, and we were off to the races. But like I said, Shida wins. Good match, I think, overall. I don't know how everyone else is going to take it, but we'll see. We'll see. Commercial break. Before the commercial break, Colt Cabana is being interviewed and Kip Sabian. So it looks like they're going to have a little 1-2 thing coming in the future. It might happen on a dark, maybe, I would imagine, because that's where Colt Cabana has been the past couple weeks, doing little matches here and there on there. And then we get Jon Moxley, a little vignette, basically just saying, I can't miss. Essentially, he'll be there next week. We'll cut it at that. It was an okay little promo. He's in the car, Chris Jericho, basically the car that the Inner Circle gave him. So a cool little spot. Then we have the Butcher and the Blade versus Jurassic Express. Another advertised match that, Butcher and Blade are an interesting act. I really like them. I love the Butcher. As far as just the appearance of him, I'm 100% sold on. The Blade he looks like he could be really a big time player as well. But just something about them, I don't know if it's that they keep losing, or if there's just more to the story as far as from a visual standpoint. I don't take them as seriously compared to the rest of the AEW roster because of how they came in. But I just didn't think they were going to win this match from the beginning. it was a pretty good match overall. There was a couple little miss spots towards the end of the match, but we'll get right into it. Basically, they start off showing all of the faces. You have Joey Janela, Colt Cabana, Sonny Kiss watching as ringside, and you can tell by the camera, this is something that you might get some kind of interference spot or something like that. And it turns out we do later on in the match. So basically, it starts off. There's some Luchasaurus beating on the Blade, tags in Jungle Boy, who immediately basically is knocking people around. Butcher and Blade regroup at ringside. Jungle Boy jumps back onto him, gets caught, gets tossed into the barricade. They slam him on the apron, put him back in the ring, and then you see SCU coming down also to the ringside. This is for the segment that we talked about at the beginning. That's what they're coming down for. The Butcher gets tagged in, gets a headlock on Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy is trying to fight around. Gets Blade tagged in. There's a big clothesline for a 2 count. And then we go to basically a commercial break. So they're basically working over Jungle Boy at this point to build up to a hot tag to Luchasaurus, which it's cool that the dynamic can work both ways. The week before we had Jugglesaurus getting worked over by them, and what did I say? Junglesaurus? Luchasaurus getting worked over, and Jungle Boy becoming the hot tag. So we're working in reverse here. Eventually, obviously, we get that hot tag. Luchasaurus is going wild. We get a face-to-face with him and the Butcher. That's always a nice looking spot because they are both big dudes. And, I'm very interested to see Butcher in a one-on-one match to see how he is, because as a tag partner, he's a big guy to come in. But I don't expect him to do anything too much outside of just the big spots. In a full one-on-one match, it might be interesting to see. Luchasaurus, this is to end the match, basically. Luchasaurus, after a couple of spots, Luchasaurus has grabbed Butcher by the throat. Blade comes in, hits him from behind. They start beating Luchasaurus down, get him with a power slam. Jungle Boy breaks up the pinfall. And then the Butcher hits a backbreaker on Jungle Boy, picks him back up. But you hear on the side, this might have happened before, but you hear basically MJF say, "Put him down. I want to see him ended right now." So they get off of their game a little bit, and that's where all this started happening. So MJF causes basically them to lose by distraction against his own team. Very interesting. You get a tail whip on the Butcher, basically, and the Jungle Boy jumps to the outside to keep the Butcher from coming in, and Blade is pinned for a 1-2-3. Kind of messed that up a little bit, but you get the idea. There's a 1-2-3 pin. Luchasaurus got it on the Blade. Then we have the whole Exalted One thing that I already talked about. Well done, beautifully done, I think. And so it's a discus lariat one by Brodie Lee, who is the Exalted One on Christopher Daniels. So I'm interested to see where that goes. I already talked about it at the beginning. So at this point of the show, I'm all in. I don't know what else I was expecting. Not much else. I just was excited for the main event, and stay tuned. We have a surprise at the end. So we go to commercial break. Come back with Lance Archer being interviewed by Tony Schiavone. We see a video of Archer basically practicing against nobodies in a backyard. It was a cool little spot. It builds up that Lance Archer is someone to be reckoned with. He took out all these people, but I don't know any of them, so I don't know if I cared too much. We barely know Lance Archer as it is, but it's cool to see that he can take on pretty much whatever he wants. Then we get kind of an announcement next week of what's going to happen. Luchasaurus versus Wardlow in a lumberjack match. That's interesting. Best friends will have a parking lot brawl, and then of course the blood and guts match. So that was all announced before the main event. Very excited for all those matches. Chris Jericho makes his entrance, probably one of my favorite entrances of Chris Jericho. Comes out with the Inner Circle, and normally people have been singing. Nobody's there. So I just think something, I wonder what's going to happen. Of course, I don't know why I didn't see it coming. Sammy Guevara grabs the microphone and starts singing Judas. And it was amazing. Just as good as you would think. He sings not too great. He's almost just yelling the words. Chris Jericho cannot keep a straight face. He's trying to hold himself together, but just laughing about everything. Sammy forgets a couple of words, but he's just yelling, and it's wonderful. Definitely something to watch. Pretty funny. So he goes to sit with basically Tony and JR and all of them because he's going to help announce the match. And he does a wonderful job. I really like Chris Jericho on the announcing table because he's putting over everyone in a great way. There's no kind of negativity that's just straight negativity in the way that he's talking about everyone. It's almost negativity for positively putting himself over. I don't know if that's the right way to say that, but it's good. The match starts. We have Cody and Santana starting the match out. And again, this is to get the advantage for next week's Blood and Guts match. So it does mean a lot. And basically, Chris Jericho's on the announce booth saying they're already at an advantage, but what does one more advantage hurt? Because obviously, Nick cannot participate next week being hurt. But like I said, so Santana starts off the match fighting Cody. They're doing a couple of rope spots. There's a power slam, a big power slam from Cody. Ortiz gets out, does a tag team, gets a tag. They're both teaming up to fight up against Cody. Good spots. Cody's countering the suplexes, tags in Matt. They do a double axe handle spot against Ortiz. And they basically take him over. Hangman runs in, does a big boot spot. The Elite start fighting a little bit, trying to say, well, why are you coming in? I'm in, he's in. It's kind of like, you can tell they're disjointed. And that's the whole story of the match. Who's going to help? What are they going to do to help each other win the match? Then we get basically an enziguri spot. Ortiz hits an enziguri. Santana gets tagged in, starts beating on Matt Jackson. He bounces out of the corner from a spear, and Hangman tags himself in. Matt basically had taken advantage at this point with that spear, and he was getting ready to do another one, but Hangman just tags himself in automatically. So again, we're kind of seeing a little bit of dissension in the match, and we don't know where it's going to go from there. Hager gets in, knocks out Hangman, knocks out Matt, and we go to a commercial break. We see that Cody's being beat up by Santana and Ortiz. The heels are on top here at this point, the Inner Circle. We come back. We have a beautiful spot. Santana's holding up Cody for a suplex. We get that good tag and swap spot, but it's to Hagar this time, who comes in. Chris Jericho's putting this over that this is a big move. They're going to basically pass this guy off multiple times to do the suplex, and it's going to do a lot of damage, essentially, to him. Then, of course, we get Ortiz coming in, who does actually hit the suplex. Ortiz basically comes out, throws him against the ring, the rails, the barricade, a couple of times. And then we get people jumping off their aprons. Matt Jackson starts attacking Ortiz. Hager pulls him away, throws him away. Everyone starts fighting. Santana does gets Cody back in the ring, puts him in a big submission move. Hager comes in, punches Cody. Hager then does a wrist lock, then a face lock, putting over the MMA fighting style that he has. Really good moves. I personally like the MMA style that Hagar is bringing to this company. I wish there weren't as many submissions. I wish he did do a couple of more big moves because he's definitely got it in him, you know. But it's just his character, and we'll see what it leads to eventually. I think there's a shelf life to that, and eventually, once he breaks away from Inner Circle, he's gonna need to do more. But they're dangerous looking spots. Starts doing some shoulder tackles, tags in Ortiz. We almost get our 1-2-3 at this point with an inside cradle. Then Cody, before commercial, hits a beautiful crossroads. I mean, this one looked nice. Ortiz he's selling it well. But they pull him back to the heel corner because he was out of it. So they're still working on Cody at this point. We're getting closer to the end. We get Cody making a hot tag to Adam Page. Fantastic work there. Comes in, a big boot to Santana. Kicks away Ortiz. Big slam on Santana afterwards. Dive over the rope onto Hager. A big lariat to Santana, but Ortiz comes in, stops the 1-2-3. But it was all big moves at this point by Hangman. So after that point, Cody comes in, gets Ortiz out the way. We think we're going to get... this is the spot. This is where Inner Circle is going to actually lose this match. Hangman starts fighting with Hager on the ground. Matt Jackson, was looking to do the Northern Light suplex. Then they team up to, but he can't get it because Hager also comes in. And Hager's trying to stop it. Then Adam Page runs in, helps, lifts up Hager. Big suplex at this point. They look at each other and they start saying, all right, let's work together. They're finally admitting it. That was the story of this match. Can we take this breakup and start coming back together? At this point, it looks like they are, which is good to see. The team is back together almost. They hit a big... They're looking to hit... what do they call it now? An indie taker? I don't know what the move is. The packaged driver, the Meltzer driver, whatever you want to call it. But Ortiz grabs Hangman from outside, pulls him off, hits the apron. The whole guys are outside, and I didn't see this coming. Santana does a roll-up for the 1-2-3 finish. It was a good match. I liked it. As you could tell, I really wanted to talk about this match because there was a lot that happened. And for those of you that didn't get to watch it, I wanted to describe a little bit of it for you. And yeah, it was a good match. Like I said, the ending is gonna be more about overcoming in the blood and guts match for the Elite. And I don't know where it's gonna go. I think they'll win, especially with what happens at the end here. So let's go ahead and get right into that. Hopefully you've enjoyed this so far. Like I said, leave a comment below. Hit that subscribe button. Let me know what I can do better, what I can improve on. Again, like I said, this is one of my very first videos here on the Average Russell Fan YouTube channel. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Hopefully the background is nice. You got my beautiful logo right there as well. But yeah, the moment everyone was basically didn't know we were waiting for. Inner Circle goes to the top of the ramp. Chris Jericho's up there. He's talking smack. Just basically saying how great the Inner Circle is, how bad the Elite are. They're not good at working together. There's 5 of them, only 4 of the Elite. And, now they have this advantage. So it can't get much worse. And I felt like the show was going to almost end with basically the Elite saying, it doesn't matter. We're going to come through. We're going to fight for the people, blah, blah, blah. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together that they're saying there's only 4 people now in this match. And we get Matt Jackson grabbing a mic and say, we're not outnumbered. We've got one more person because I made a phone call. I called someone to come in. And then you start hearing this buzzing sound. And I'm like, at first I thought something was wrong with my headphones. I'm not going to lie. That's how I was watching it. Or my speakers, not my headphones. I was like, what the heck is that buzzing? And then we see a drone floating and just going. That was terrible, but you get the idea. And I'm like, hey, that's Is that what I think it is? And it is. It's Vanguard 1. So for those of you that are watching the previous reaction video I had, apparently this is where Vanguard 1 was going. This is Arcadia. And then we get a camera swerve, a big turn, and there's someone standing at the lights. And you can kind of tell who it is. He's got his arms out open, and it's Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy debuted on the same day that we had the Exalted one, but he wasn't the Exalted one. It's a beautiful swerve. I did not see it coming. He's going to be the fifth that works with the Elite to take on the Inner Circle and the Blood and Guts match. What a match for Broken Matt Hardy to come in on. He gets up there. He starts pointing to everyone. Again, he's way off. But starts pointing to everyone down below. Delete, delete, delete. Oh, if this happened with the crowd, this would have been amazing. What a fantastic show, though. As you can tell, I was excited for it. I'm very excited for next week. We had a lot happen in this show to look forward to next week's show. And I hope you all are. I am. We'll see with events if it's going to be possible to actually go on. I hope so. This was definitely the best wrestling show we've gotten over the past 2 weeks. And yeah, should be good. So, like I said, that was AEW Dynamite. I personally think it was a fantastic show. With everything that's going on, I almost say this is a perfect show. It would be hard to top this show considering what all is going on. We had the crowd reaction from the heels and the faces on both sides. We had two what I'll call good debuts. One wasn't seen coming, but it happened. The other one was someone we didn't expect, it being the Exalted one with Brodie Lee. Very excited for both of those storylines to play out. So, yeah, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about the show. This has been Average Wrestle Fan with the AEW Dynamite review. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.